Hi, come on in.
And join in. It's the Very Merry Life. Hi, I'm Mary Hendricks, and you might know me as that relatable AF Mama over on Instagram who hopefully feels like an old friend at this point. And if not, it won't be long till it feels that way as we get raw, unfiltered, and very unapologetic in all things motherhood, marriage, sex, and more. From moments worth savoring to moments worth surviving, get ready to leave feeling seen and supported. You have a friend here now, so hey, take a seat. What's going on?
Hello, guys. Happy, I don't know what day I'm putting this out. So Tuesday or Friday. You'll find out. But happy Tuesday. I am so excited for today, and I'm excited for the guest. And if you're on Instagram, you probably see her. And her name is Erin, and I'm going to let her say hello, and we're going to get into chit-chatting like we always do. Hello,
Perfect.
Erin.
Hi, I am a stay-at-home mom. My name is Erin. I have a 3-year-old daughter. I live in Florida. I have probably been following Mary, I feel like since the beginning of time. I don't know how long I've been following you on social media, but I feel like it's just been so long and we've just connected. And I don't know, I'm very honored and happy to be a guest on your podcast.
I'm excited. And well, it's funny because it's hard. Well, we were connected, but I want to bring on moms of like every shape and size. And someone reached out to me today. Who's texting me today? Someone's texting me. Someone reached out saying like, "Hey, do you mind if I'm on your podcast?" And it's someone that isn't in this space, like sharing their lives. And I was like, "Absolutely," but I want to get to know you first. I was like, "I want that. Like, I want that," but I was like, "I need to get to know everyone."
Yeah,
because it's hard. Like that's the only downside. It's like I don't want just people that are on Instagram for this, but also people aren't always open about their lives, and the people on Instagram are. So it's just,
I feel like you have to have a little bit of foundation too. There has to be like a little bit of like kind of a trust between the people. I don't know. I don't know if
because then it rolls a little bit. It rolls a little bit. You have to be like open enough to like want to get on here and talk about your story and such. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I've loved being connected with you, and I love your content. And today I think our conversation is going to be really good. Yeah. And if you saw the title of it, whatever that is, because again, I have not figured it out, you will know what this is about because I'll figure that out. But we're going to talk about, the limbo of trying to conceive and kind of what that looks like. And, personally, I haven't been through that side of things, but I think that's why it's even more of a really important conversation because for people like me and others who haven't been on that side, it's important because I don't want to say majority, a heavy amount of women are struggling with getting to get pregnant. And it's more than I think we recognize. And we have to be their support system. And we need to figure out how we can do that, even if we've never walked in those shoes.
Yeah, it's definitely more than I ever thought. The numbers that I have seen for just like, unfortunately miscarriages or, failed transfers with different kind of fertility treatments, it's so much more common than I ever knew before being on social media and just seeing other people's stories. So it's just nice to have all the information out there though, because if you are someone who is in this season of like, okay, why am I not getting pregnant? Like what's going on? There really is so much information out there now. But I didn't know about any of this stuff like 3 years ago when I was trying to get pregnant with Sophia.
Yeah.
So I just feel like now there's a lot more out there, but there's still tons more to be uncovered.
Well, yeah. And everyone's story is so unique. Yeah. Like everyone's approach to this is so unique. And like I've met a lot of women through this space that have gone through a variety of stories from IVF, IUI, surrogacy, just adoption, like everything, and it's pretty darn cool. And also heartbreaking because I hate that for you guys. I hate that for you. I hate that that's even something that you guys are, thinking about because it's it should be one of the happiest times. And I know for me, like on the flip side, I relatively got pregnant easy.
Yeah.
But I remember in an easier term, I remember it took us like 4 months, which is that's the average time, I think, for like people that don't have the struggle, average time. And I remember in the first time with getting Cassidy, and it was like the first month, like, and this is so silly because it's like how the lack of education. I remember being so bummed because all you were taught in high school and like in general was like, if you have sex, you're going to get pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember just being so bummed. And again, it ended up happening, but like the amount, and then I realized the amount I didn't know. Like I didn't even know about like ovulation. I didn't even know about like any of this stuff where I was like, I was in the dark. And
it's a shame. It really is the lack of information that, because just like you said, you have sex, you get pregnant. That is what is like drilled into your head when you're growing up.
Yeah.
So when you become of the age where you're like, okay, I'm, maybe I'm married now, I want to start having kids, and it doesn't happen, you're like, well, I thought this is how it's supposed to go. Like it's just.
Yeah. Well, and it's how other people expect it to go too. Because I remember even before we ended up trying to get pregnant, I remember there was like a friend of Kevin I's who was so adamant about asking us whether or not we were going to have kids every single time we saw them. And again, we didn't know what our road was, and God willing, or thankfully, it was it was easy. Yeah. But we didn't know, and I remember being like, "Why would she ask me that? Like, you don't know what's waiting for us. Like,
right?
I don't know what that." It was just a silly question, and it's like one of those that like, don't ask that question, please. Just like, if you know in your life, like, please don't ask when the baby's coming, because you don't know. Like, you don't know what's actually going on behind closed doors,
right? Exactly. That used to really, really bother me when people would ask that. And I do understand to an extent, like, especially the older generation, like, it's just something that flies out of their mouth without even thinking. Once you get married, like, next is going to be babies, trying for baby, that whole shebang. And it, like, once it was starting to take us a long time, I would tell Jeff, like, people have to stop asking. Like, they have to stop asking, or I'm going to lose my mind. We went through a rough patch with it at first, because it was just, I felt like every time I talked to, I won't say like our parents necessarily, but like maybe just an extended, like an older aunt or something like that, the questions would come in. And we did have a conversation one night where I was like, if one more person asks me, like, we're not going anywhere. Like, I can't mentally and emotionally handle the questions anymore.
Yeah.
So it definitely takes a toll.
Yeah. Well, of course it does. My God. And because it adds up. And how long have you and your husband been married?
5 years.
Okay. And how long, and your daughter's 3?
Yeah. So Soph, actually, looking at the bigger picture now, it was 8 months for her. And looking at that now, that I would have taken that again this time, but we've been up for a year now at this point.
Yeah. Well, because they tell you to wait a year. Isn't that what OBs say? They say if it hasn't happened in a year, then come in, which I think is kind of shitty. Like, I would say, like, if it doesn't happen, and I get it, but I would say like 6 months. Like, if you're adamantly tracking.
Yeah.
Like, and I adamantly tracked. I think that's when it finally started. I think it took like us 3 months of us not knowing what the hell we were doing with Cassidy and being like, let's just have sex. And I didn't really, that's again, my learning phase. And then I tracked like a crazy person, and I got those easy ovulation test strips.
Yeah.
And then with Spencer was relatively quick because I knew what I was doing at that point. With Haley, that was just a freak of nature. But with that, I peed on those things, and then I would tape them, because I know there have an app now where you can take a picture and compare, but I taped them on a piece of paper and like watched how the line got darker and darker and darker. Yeah. And then I was like, God, let's go. And you just hope for the best. But I
know.
It's just one of those crazy things of being in that limbo of waiting and whatnot. But how long have you been trying this time?
It has probably been 15 months, I would say. Okay. Yeah. The thing is, we've known for a while that we wanted to have another. I feel like even around like Sophia's 2nd birthday, we were like, we want to have another kid, but we weren't actively trying. We were just kind of like, let's just see what happens. And I feel like it was probably last summer around Sophia's 3rd birthday where we still weren't pregnant. And I was like, something has got to give. Like, we made doctor's appointments and that whole thing. But yeah, it's been probably like 15 months at this point.
Yeah.
So in the trying game.
And how's that with like, someone had, I remember I recently got a question box, and I forget what day it was. I think it might've been during Sex Confessions when I did it on my page. And someone had said, can we talk about I forget what it was, but they had said something along the lines of that they are in the trying to conceive phase.
Yeah.
And it's been so long that it's like, it's really put a wedge between her and her spouse just because God. It's just become a job at this point. And it's just like taking the fun.
Yeah. It does. It takes all the fun and excitement completely out of it. It is an extra stressor. It almost, I don't want to say that it causes us arguments, but it causes us to get in these discussions where it's like, okay, I'm ovulating. Like if we want this to happen, we have to do it like XYZ days. And it just takes something out of it. Like, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't stop us from doing it necessarily, but it's still just like, I feel like it's not supposed to be this hard. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be this calculated. And I know that there's only a certain amount of time that you have to actually get pregnant. You take the ovulation test, for that reason to know, but it's still just with the added stress of it taking so long and like just not happening the way that you would expect it to, it causes us to like I said, not argue, but just we get in these like moods where it's like, all right, let's do this and get it done.
Yeah. Well, and it's because it's just like, it's a job at this point. It's like, hey, let's just, the actions that need to happen in order to make it, go. It's like a baby making factory type of thing. It's like, let's lay down, go, like inseminate me. Like that's it. That's literally what it turns into. But
basically,
yeah. And I imagine that just because with Kev and again, this is a completely different situation, but I remember that like the months that we were doing it, it was just like a game. It was just like a calculated measure.
Yeah.
And it was like, and that's why with Haley, I was like, hey, let's just not try and see what happens. But
I feel like we even had that approach too for a bit. I was like, let's just like take it easy. And everyone tells you like, oh, as soon as you stop stressing about it, stop thinking about it, then it's going to happen. And like, I do understand that stress plays a big role in it. I do understand that. But there are some comments that just really irk me because just relaxing and thinking about it.
Yeah. Tell me which ones you've been have been said to, because I'm always curious. So relax. How about drink a glass of wine?
Yeah, right. I've seen comments like, well, at least you can get pregnant because I've had Sophia. So, okay, yes, I know I can get pregnant. I'd like to do it again.
Yeah.
It's stuff that I feel like is so ignorant of people to say. And part of me wants to like give people the benefit of the doubt and like, okay, maybe you don't actually mean that in a negative way, but I also think that you have to almost like tread lightly when you're talking about that kind of stuff, just because of how common infertility actually is.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like it kind of goes to more of the older generation where they don't maybe understand a lot of it, because even my mom, I've had to explain things to her that she never knew of. And not that she said anything negative, but she just didn't realize that like things could maybe take this long, or, there was something underlying that was possibly going on. So it's just been I don't want to say that this has been a bad experience, because I have actually learned a lot, which I guess is good, but it's just been very stressful and almost like because how, I'm going to like pivot for a second. How when you see one person announce a pregnancy, literally like 10 more people follow. It's like something in the water where it just happens all at one time. So that's like where I actually am right now. Like I literally feel like everybody around me is pregnant.
Yeah. I feel like that's the opposite for me right now. I feel like
really?
all my friends, I think, have popped them out and they're slowing their roll. How old are you?
34.
Okay. Yeah. So you're my age. You're right above my age. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's like, I think my friends have finally slowed their roll on that one, but yeah, no, it is. And that's gotta be hard for you too. Just seeing all that. Do you struggle with seeing announcements, pregnancy announcements?
I used to a lot. Like, for example, when this was before we even had Sophia, my brother and my sister-in-law, they have 2 little boys, and they got pregnant with their second when Jeff and I were probably at our 6-month mark of trying to get pregnant with Sophia. And my reaction was anything but supportive. And I apologized to my sister-in-law immediately the next day, because I felt so bad for my reaction. I had no excitement for them. I cried in the car with Jeff because we were at like a family function when they told me.
Yeah.
I cried in the car with Jeff on the way home and I was like, why is this happening for everyone else? It's not happening for us. Like, it was so heartbreaking, but my reaction, that wasn't a good reaction. Like that's my brother and my sister-in-law, that's not how I want to react.
Yeah.
But, it was not great at first, but it's much better now. Like now I 100%, I believe that I strongly believe that you can be happy for someone else, but still be sad for yourself. That's just
absolutely
kind of like it, I am so like frustrated that we're not there yet. But if I have a friend who tells me she's pregnant, like I'm not mad at you for that. Like I'm excited for you. That's amazing news. I would like to be pregnant too, but I'm not mad at you for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
no, well, it's a parallel thing. You can feel two things at the same exact time because it's not a slight against you. No one got pregnant in spite of you or saying any of that stuff. It wasn't like a dig. So you can be excited for it, but you can still be equally disappointed. It's the same thing as being like, when people talk about like when they are pregnant and they're grieving kind of like gender disappointment, things like that. They're like, I'm so excited to be pregnant, but also terrified or sad or whatever it might be. It's like the two, they could totally exist at the same exact time. They're emotions. We're human. And it's hard. Exactly. It's hard. That's like a really hard thing.
Yeah.
No.
It's gotten better though, because like I said, at first it was bad. I felt so bad. Like the guilt that I had the next day was like, oh my God, I reacted so poorly. I am very excited for you. That caught me off guard, all the excuses, if you will, but it was just, it was bad time, but overall now I feel much better about it. And, I've even had friends who, because they kind of know like what we've been going through, when they have found out recently that they are pregnant, they've come to me first and they've been like, listen, like just before you see the announcement, I just want to let you know, which I appreciate. I don't think it's always necessary, but I appreciate it. I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's it's like the nice thing to do. That way they can kind of, ease it. Again, you don't know, like that's how it's hard. I had a friend recently over the summer and it was right after I had Haley, who actually she miscarried and it was very hard. And again, that's like another thing that's like, it just, I personally have never been through that and my heart breaks for women that have, and it's one of those things, but she couldn't be around me and Haley. Like she just was very, very, very upset. And I completely understood, but that's that's why I think these conversations need to happen, because I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And, in a situation like that, sometimes the best thing you can do is just not say anything. But no one knows what the right thing is. But I think that's why these conversations have to keep on going.
I remember it was probably like a year ago, I made a reel that was like, I forget the premise of it, but something along the lines of, things that you shouldn't say to someone trying to conceive, or that you should say to someone trying to conceive. And it was like all the wrong things. And the last one was obviously the right thing to say. But it ultimately, like for me, the biggest thing that I appreciate when people say stuff is essentially just that they like, what can I do? Like, is there anything I can help you with? How can I support you? Stuff like that. That's just, the best thing that I can suggest to people, because making suggestions like, oh, have you tried this diet or drinking this drink, or, all those ridiculous things that people are gonna recommend. I don't know, just kind of like offering support and letting them know that you're there for whatever they may need.
That's
kind of the best thing that I can suggest.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. So have you started, you can say as much or as little, but have you gone through anything? Have you done like IUI? Have you tried any of that stuff yet?
No, so because it's been about 15 months, we did get recommended to a fertility doctor. And we had an appointment with her, and she was very like straight shooter, which I appreciate. I don't want anything beating around the bush with this. And she doesn't know that like IUI would be the best route for us. So if we do decide to go forward with the treatments, it would probably look more like IVF. But we are still in like such the beginning stages of really all of this, primarily because there is so much testing and so many appointments that lead up to even knowing if we can do that.
Yeah.
So that's really where we're at right now.
Have they figured out a reason? Do they have an idea as to why it's taking a while? Did they have is it like PCOS or anything like that, or endometriosis or anything?
It's one of those things where like we kind of do. So we do have some male factor infertility, which, side note, is way more common than I ever thought. Like I feel based on like, because we had to watch this like video or whatever from the doctor, and the statistics, I feel like it was like 30-something% is like male fertility.
Oh, wow.
And that to me is outrageous. I definitely thought that would be a lot lower.
Yeah.
But yeah, because, you know, like when you're trying and it doesn't happen, I feel like the general consensus is something's wrong with the woman. Like,
Oh, yeah.
You can't get pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, we do have a little bit of the male factor. And then I do have PCOS, but my old OB, I still go to her for like gynecology or whatever. She did a blood work panel on me before I saw the fertility doctor.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know, your PCOS stuff is actually like kind of like in check, essentially. Like I don't really have any red flags per se. I still have like longer periods or longer cycles.
Yeah.
I'll say, within my periods. But other than that, like my blood work essentially looked okay. So it's one of those things where like we do have the male factor, but there also might be something that like I have underlying, which is why we're going through all these other tests with the fertility clinic. But yeah, just kind of want to like rule everything out so I know exactly what steps to take.
What you're looking at, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Do you follow that Caitlin O'Neill on TikTok? Have you been following her?
I think so. Caitlin O'Neill.
Yeah. Oh God, she's like a big TikToker. She like went through all of like the secondary infertility. She's same thing. I think she's a 5-year-old, but she went through secondary infertility. You should look her up because she's like she finally had I think she did like 8 or 7 different transfers for IVF finally.
Oh my gosh, really?
And it finally clicked because they like just went through so many things. But she's like, I think she's almost 20 weeks pregnant now at this point, but she's awesome to follow for like that stuff. And for someone that doesn't know anything like about this personally, like I love following accounts like that. I just like learning about it because I want to be like, I want to know the ins and outs. That way, it's hard because I think sometimes we get so lost of knowing that like there's no way that all of us can walk through each other's shoes. Like it's impossible.
Exactly.
But we can try our best, like without actually having to physically be in someone else's, shoes and predicament.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Just knowing enough people to walk beside someone essentially, like, so you have an idea of what they're going through, but obviously can't fully grasp it, but still being able to know enough to be supported, I think is probably the best thing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Hold on, let me plug in my computer. It's going to die.
I know. I'm wondering if I should plug in mine because I feel like the thing just turned red.
My thing just came up. I was like, oh no. Don't need this thing to die on me.
Ugh. I gotta find mine. Hang on one second.
You're good. I like your setup. Laundry basket, ring light.
Yeah, I can't find my, I have one of those, what are they called? Those like laptop things?
Yeah, I'm on that right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I can't find mine.
I like it.
So I need to, of course this thing is all wrapped up in my Lanta. Okay. Let me put this thing back on here. Okay. Okay.
So with your daughter, I'm thinking about your daughter. Has your daughter gotten to a point where she wants another baby? She started asking questions.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Eye-Opening Moments podcast are real-life stories of adversity, encounters, and perspectives. They are moments that can lift your spirits, give you some food for thought, or move you. For the introspective mind that likes to reflect, discover, and find solutions or meaning in a complex life, listen to Eye-Opening Moments podcasts.
She has not. She hasn't asked questions, but she says stuff sometimes, like when she's playing with her dolls and stuff, she'll call them like brother and sister. But she hasn't asked for anything.
So. And she's 3. That's like I forget how Cassie was. You know, it's funny. I have like amnesia for when Cassie was 3, because Spencer is 3.
Yeah.
That age with him specifically right now is a doozy. I remember that with 4 with Cassidy. 4 was a real doozy with Cassidy. I don't remember 3 being that bad. I don't know. Each kid is so crazy, but whenever this next baby of yours comes, because it will happen, that's going to be good because you'll have a little mommy's helper.
I know. And you know, I always, like, my brother and I are 2 years apart. So I always just kind of thought, I'll have 2 kids. I'll have them 2 years apart. It'll be great. We'll be able to be close.
Yeah.
So I feel like in a way I am kind of mourning that, or was mourning that, because now there's obviously no way they're going to be less than, because she'll be 4 in July. So they're going to have a big gap.
Yeah.
Which I didn't want at first, but now I look at it and I'm like, she'll be such a big help. Like, it'll be so
you'll like it. I can see that. Well, again, you can mourn that. Like it's your plan. It's your dream. It's like your dream plan that you had in your head, and it's a change of plans. Anytime a change happens, you're disappointed. Right. Like that's just life. So that's totally normal. But I can say, like, for Cassie and Haley, because Cassie was just about 5 years no, 4, like 4, a little over 4 when she was born. It's wonderful. It is so much fun. It's like a lot of fun to see the 2 of them together. And Cassie, like, actually remembers it. Like, it's just nice seeing her look at the baby and be like, this baby is so cute. And like, I think she'll actually remember it, which will be fun, because it's like, for me, I think of when I brought Spencer home and she was so little, she completely forgot what it was like to have a baby. Like, she didn't know what that was. So it was like exciting for her. It was like her baby. So
yeah, I am excited for it now. I think once I realized that it wasn't going to happen, I just always picture, because then you see all this stuff on social media, like, here's your sign to have your kids close in age, yada, yada. And it's like, you know, I just, sometimes when I see those, I'm like, okay, well, not going to happen for me.
I'll be your sign. It's fine. I'll be your sign. I'll be the opposite sign. I honestly, like, I love, because Spencer and Cassie are 21 months apart. It's great. They're a doozy. And I always tell people that. I'm like, I see it for both sides, because Haley and Spencer are 2.5 years spread out. But if I were to have another baby, I'm waiting a long ass time, because it's so hard. It's so hard. That little, like, really banging them out is just like, really takes a toll. And it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you're stressing about having them close in age, the biggest thing I always say is you better have support. Like, you better have a real strong support system that's around you, because if not, then buckle up. And if you are and you don't have support, that's fine too. Just it's a doozy.
No, I know. I do give moms a lot of credit who have kids close in age, because there are days where I just have the one and I'm like, what is happening?
Well, it's all relative. Someone had said that. They're like, 3, how the heck do you do 3? And I'm like, it's all relative. I was like, 3 at this point, you just get to a point where you're like, you just don't care. Like, it's all done. But well, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm excited to hear what you end up, figuring out and everything. And
I'm looking forward to it.
Is IVF, and this could be does IVF get covered at all by insurance?
So thankfully for Jeff's job, it gets covered a lot.
Good.
Our deductible is way low, and I've at this point like almost met it just because of all the testing. But it does cover quite a bit. And I've noticed too, because him and I were talking about it, and he mentioned that a lot of companies actually do cover quite a bit of it now. And I think that's very new, because I do not think 5 years ago, even 5 years ago, that they covered what they covered.
No, I remember like before Kev. And I remember Kev, because Kev is a police officer, he has a pretty decent insurance plan thank God, like health insurance is pretty good. And I remember they called and they had said that they were shocked. Like I remember before we got pregnant with Cassidy, because they went through our benefits just to like let us know. I remember calling the insurance company before we got pregnant because I had a client of mine that told me to. And she said, just call them and find out what you're looking at, because some insurance, which is such shit, like you literally are leaving the hospital with a $10,000, $15,000 bill, which blows my mind. Like that's just an entirely different discussion, but I can't even imagine, depending on your type of delivery. And she told me that. She said, I think my client was like, you better find out, because she said, I had a vaginal delivery and it cost us a $3,000 out of pocket. And she said, and I know like C-section was $7,500. I'm like, what? Like, no. Yeah. But I remember calling and they had said that like IVF, if we needed it, would be like very well covered. And I was like, oh, really? Like, I didn't know that was like a thing. And they were shocked even, but I guess that was like the beginning of more couples need it. Like, it's not, we shouldn't have to go broke making a family that.
Oh, I know. Well, and some of the testing, like, for example, I did a test, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or so. The test itself was like $900, and that was with good insurance. Yeah. And I told Jeff, I'm like, I'm so thankful that we can do this, at least this part of it, because think of how many families probably can't just hand over $900, even that's with good insurance, like I just, the price of it all, ultimately the outcome is worth it, but it's just, it really is one of those situations where you're almost having to go broke in certain ways to be able to have a baby. So.
Yeah. No, that's not fair. That's not fair to do to parents. I mean, it's especially for how high it's becoming. It has to be easier. It has to be an easier, more well talked about thing, so we can hopefully get that assistance. And because it's exciting. I mean, everyone deserves it. If they want to become a parent, they should become a parent. We shouldn't have to make them like go through every ring, to do that. It's enough that you have to stress about it. But
I know it's one of those things where you like, I don't know. I just never thought that we'd be in this situation. And I don't know, I talk about it like we've been trying for like 5 years. I know that there are so many women who have been trying for even just one for a very long time. And I obviously like empathize with that, because I can't imagine going through, there's, who is it that I follow on Instagram? Her first name is Erin, but I forget her handle. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
But anyway, her and her husband tried for like years and years and years. They had miscarriages, and then they had a surrogate.
Yeah.
Finally. So it's just like, I can't imagine going through all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they were able to get a perfectly healthy baby boy, but it's crazy the stuff that you have to go through to get a baby, that when it doesn't happen so easily, when I didn't think that was ever going to be the case or part of our story. But I don't know, it'll probably just make us 10 times more thankful when it actually happens.
Yeah. Well, and that will be, that's like another, I had a guest on here, and she actually went through that. She went through IVF. And then it turned into, I think she went through a miscarriage first, and then she went through IVF. And then, she went through surrogacy and then IVF. And then she ended up pregnant at the same time that her surrogate got pregnant.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy
That
story.
Is a crazy story.
It's insane, but it's just like she even said, she was like, I have this now. And she said, you try not, like, you don't want to complain, but she said, this shit's hard. Yeah. I'm like, of course it is. Of course it is. And that's like that's like another discussion. It's like that you get to, people on that side where they're like, we tried so hard for this. Yeah. And, now I realize that it's still hard. And I'm like, yeah, well, because you're a mom.
Yeah.
You're welcome to motherhood.
Exactly. It's all hard.
Yeah, it's all hard. Oh my God. And it's just, but it's going to happen. I'm excited for you.
I know. Part of me is like, I don't want to use the word thankful, but I'm just, I don't know. I didn't know anything about any of this before I was
humbled,
pushed into it.
Humbled.
Yeah, humbled. Exactly. I feel, you know, I'm glad that I can learn so much about it. I'm hopeful that, you know, this is going to happen for us. I feel like, have you ever seen those videos? They're all over TikTok, like where it's just putting like, good things happen to me. I am a lucky girl. Like, have you seen those videos on TikTok where they're just basically manifesting like all good things? I feel like I've kind of just adapted that mindset where it's going to happen, even if it's December 31st that I get a positive test. Like this year,
I always say my favorite affirmation is I don't seek, I attract. Whatever belongs to me will simply find me. Like
I love it.
I repeat that daily. It's so good. There is that on TikTok. What is it? The lucky girl syndrome?
Yeah. Lucky girl syndrome. So
was it? I'm so lucky. Good things happen to me or something.
Yeah. It's like a whole mantra or whatever.
I'm going to look that up. I'm going to try that tomorrow. I'm going to just keep repeating that shit and see what happens. Cause I know people are saying that crazy things were happening.
Oh, I know.
Because of it.
I know. Like it.
I'm going to look it up. I want to look it up. Yeah. Let's see. I believe it though. I believe in that affirmation stuff sometimes because I think it just. Have you read the book You're a Badass?
Yes, I read that a long time ago, but yes, I do remember reading that book.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I know. I love when I first saw those like Lucky Girl syndrome videos. I was so confused, but then the more I watched them, I was like, you know what? That is a good outlook to have. Like, why not? Why not walk around just thinking like good things are going to happen to me? I'm a bad bitch. Like, life is good. Everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be fine. That is really a great mindset to have if you think about it.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. So I get everything I want because that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So that's things you have to repeat to yourself. Things are always working out in my favor. So these are things you just have to keep repeating to yourself.
Right. Exactly.
All right. I'm claiming this. I'm claiming all of this because I'm so lucky. That's what you have to see. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to say that every single day and see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I love it. It's just a good way to put, I think, a positive spin on something that is tough and stressful and kind of heartbreaking, but also just knowing that there are options. Like we're not at the end of our road. It's not like this is not a possibility for us. It's just taking us a lot longer than expected.
Yeah. No, the story's not done. Yeah. The story's just got a little hiccup in it, which it happens. It's going to happen. It's going to happen at some point to everyone. You're going to have a hiccup in your story. It's just like you're just viewing it from a different lens and it's just kind of going in a direction that you didn't want to really go in, but you read enough books, you know how that works.
Yeah, things always work out. So that's just kind of how I'm looking at it at this point. And, you know, I feel like I have been trying, now that I am kind of like mixed up into it, I feel like I've been trying so hard to be more of an advocate for like other women that I see going through it, because I'll see some random posts on social media about, you know, or like a story about someone trying, you know, they've been trying to have a baby for X amount of years or months or whatever. And I just feel like I now am more compelled to like say something to them. Like, you know, I'm praying for you, I'm supporting you, you know, just anything. I just feel like it's actually helped me become more empathetic in this whole situation, just because I'm going through it myself. So I like that I can do that for other people.
Yeah. So. Now with being in kind of in that limbo period, when did you bring it up to your doctor that you were concerned?
I actually brought it up, I think it was like September of last year. But Jeff has been kind of back and forth with his doctor because he sees a couple of specialists for his stuff. So he brought his stuff up, I think in like July or August. Some tests were done. And then his doctor is actually the one that referred us to the fertility doctor.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, because I'm the one like carrying the baby, I'm the patient fertility doctor. So like he was referred to see them, but they won't see him without seeing me. So it's kind of how it brings us both into it, even though we do have like confirmed male factor. And then we're just trying to see if there's anything within my stuff.
That could be like a double doozy.
Yeah, exactly. So and it's just the male factor thing is just like, I don't want to say bizarre because obviously I know that it happens, but I just didn't expect it to be a thing. I don't know why. I just assumed that it'd be something on my end.
Yeah. So. Well, and how did he find that out? Did you guys get testing done before or after Sophia? How did he find?
Yeah, he got testing done before Sophia.
Okay.
And his stuff was okay at that point, but it wasn't great. But I wasn't on anything when we got pregnant with Sophia. He has been on testosterone, but testosterone is actually not like something that helps you get pregnant. If anything, that is not the best for you to get pregnant.
Yeah.
So, and it's another one of those things where like, I don't know a whole lot about his side of it. I'm trying to learn a lot of the male factor stuff and like what causes it on the male side. But his numbers before Sophia were low, but not like super alarmingly low. So we just kind of kept trucking along at that point. And then got pregnant with her, but now they've like dipped really, really, really down. So,
yeah.
So
interesting.
I don't know. And it's funny because I just today, actually, I saw a post about male factor infertility, and it said something about like, it's becoming a bigger problem than it was, you know, even a few years ago. It's speculated to be because of like toxins and basically the stuff we eat essentially, which is the problem with everything.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's just, and it's one of those things like, I don't know if I'm seeing all this stuff because we're going through it now. So it's just like, you know, you look for a red car kind of thing, see a red car. Or if it's like actually just becoming a lot more popular now. Not popular, but.
Yeah. It's it freaks me out sometimes. I literally have moments like that because like, I literally thought that today in the grocery store as I'm shopping for food and such. And I'm like, it's hard because you buy that stuff and you don't know. Like, I know. You know, we don't know what is that. People have like their speculations. It's because of Red 40. Like that's why it's happening.
Right.
I don't know. Like we don't have any confirmation, but it does go through your head where it's like, you know what, the kids want to eat goldfish. And I'm like, is this shit messing you up?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
What's going on? Like, I don't know what to do. It's just, it's one of those things. It is a little scary when you like all that stuff. I also recently started watching Handmaid's Tale. So that.
Oh no, I had to stop. I think I watched 2 seasons of that and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah. No. I recently started that up and I'm like, oh God, I don't know. Really freaks you out. Really just puts that and too much TikTok. The algorithm just is a killer.
That algorithm is pretty spot on though. I'm not going to lie.
I know. How do they do that? They freak me out sometimes.
That algorithm, I swear to you, I won't even look something up. I know our phones listen to us, whatever, but I will say one small thing and I feel like my For You page is just like flooded with the thing that I said. It's wild. So.
That, or if I'll think about someone, I'll be like, I wonder, I haven't seen her on my page in a while. And I'll literally be thinking about her and then she'll be up on it. I'm like, that makes zero sense because I didn't say it out loud. And that freaks me out a little bit.
I know. It is really strange.
But. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's like, again, it's kind of like, you know, how people are like, they like to speculate like autism and stuff like that. Where some people are like, well, is it getting worse? Or is it just because we are identifying it?
Yeah.
More it's actually being talked about a little bit more.
I know. And that's kind of what I wonder because, I mean, granted, like I said, when we watched the slide, it showed the male factor is like actually much higher than I thought, but just I'm seeing it so much more now. And again, I don't know if it's just because that's what my life consisted of right now, but it's all over the place. But, and going back to like the different foods you eat and stuff, when we were first trying with Sophia, I would get so like I was obsessing over like getting pregnant essentially. So I remember basically like, probably nagging Jeff to where he was, I'm sure, just so fed up with me, but nagging like, don't eat this, like, let's go work out. Like, are you fasting? Should we be fasting? Like, it was just another thing that like messes with you because and then when he would do something or if he would go and get like KFC, that's like his guilty pleasure meal, whatever. I would in my head be like, okay, you're not trying as hard as I am. Like, and that's not true, but like, I was so just like mentally focused on getting pregnant and like nitpicking everything that we were both doing to where that was also becoming a problem for us. Like it was.
Yeah. Well, and do you think do you think he struggles at all knowing that it could be his side that like, is he struggling at all with like a guilt or anything like that?
I do think so. I think that he feels bad because he's watched all the same stuff that I have for all this fertility stuff. And I think that he feels bad knowing how much like physically I would have to go through to do IVF because essentially like all he's going to have, not all, but the biggest thing he'll have to do is give sperm. And, I'll be the one with egg retrieval and all that other stuff if we go that route. So, I do think he feels bad, but I think that he also understands that like, it's not something that he has much control over. So he's really good
it's one of those things that
at identifying that kind of stuff. So I think he feels bad for what I might have to go through, but I don't think that he feels bad that it happened just because what's he going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's whether it was your side or not, it's something that you couldn't have anticipated. It's something that it's your body. It's whatever it's happening. It's happening. You can't do anything about it. But you guys are in it. That's what the team aspect's about. You're in it. You're not in it to win it type of thing.
Yeah.
And then you could end up being like one of my other guests on here, who I don't know if you're connected with her, Alyssa Salveson.
What's her handle?
Are you connected with her? Salveson twin mama?
Oh, yes.
Kind of like that. I think she said he was male factor.
Was he?
Yeah. And you could probably talk to her even, because I think that was the case, and that's why they didn't expect to get pregnant with their third.
Oh, okay.
Was because it was just male factor, and it was basically said to be like impossible. and then big boom. She ended up with 3 kids under the age of 2, I think. Yeah.
So, I have been following a lot of accounts lately that have been just like IVF parents or surrogacy, just like you said, just to kind of like get the information. If nothing else, at this point, I'm invested in like the whole process, and I just kind of want to learn whatever I can.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It's fascinating. I actually I think it's amazing, especially when you go through it. Like I had a friend recently that did IVF and she got pregnant. She had her son 9 days before Haley was born, but I remember she got pregnant through IVF. I remember she did the transfer. She didn't know she was pregnant. And I think she knew that it was probably going to be successful. And then I found out I was pregnant. But just like, I remember seeing like the picture of like the embryo and things like that. And I was like, that is,
I know.
Like it is just a fascinating
it's
thing
crazy that we can do that.
So cool. I know. It's like, I don't know. It's just something very wild about like literally seeing what it began. And then you have a living, breathing human child that it's bonkers to me.
I know.
Well, yay. We're going to lucky girl syndrome, pregnant girl syndrome. Let's do that.
That's what we are throwing out into the universe.
Yeah.
Pregnant girl syndrome.
We could come up with an affirmation. Like, let's say, what's a pregnant girl affirmation? I'm so fertile. No, I'm so.
I'm so fertile is not bad. I don't know if I'm so fertile.
Gonna. You can say, no, you got to put it out in the universe. I'm trying to think. What's the word? I'm so lucky. Great things happen to me. Is that what they say?
I think she said like good things happen to me, but yeah, I'm so lucky. Great things happen to me. We will have a baby in 2023. Rhyme. Done.
Yeah. There you go. You're good. You're good. Well, yeah, no, that limbo period it's wild. It's wild just waiting. And I think this is going to be like a good episode for just like people to listen and know that like, if you're in this, like one, talk to your doctor.
Of course.
Just like bring it up to them and push as much as you can about whatever you're feeling. And then know that you could reach out. That's like the great thing about social media. It's just like knowing that there's a resource and there's Erin that you could reach out to and, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And no amount of, you don't have to do it alone. Like that's the thing.
Right.
It's probably frustrating, but there's people that are in your boat.
Oh, I know. I wish I had this 3 years ago with Sophia because I swear to you, I like suffered in silence because I just didn't have anyone to talk to. No one I knew was going through the same stuff I was going through. So this social media has just like opened up 1,000 doors when it comes to that kind of thing because the community is just incredible. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Well, awesome. Well, I'll link everything about Erin in the show notes. That way you guys can talk to her if you want to reach out and get, pick brain. And if you want to follow along and we'll see what happens with your story, see where it goes. No matter where it goes, it's going to be a great one. And it's going to be awesome. 2023.
You're
so lucky.
Lucky girl. Pregnant girl.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Erin.
Another episode down and way more to go. But thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to help support this podcast, I would love for you to subscribe. I'd love for you to share it with others and post about it on your own social media or leave a rating and review. I cannot tell you how helpful and how appreciated those things are for me. Of course, to catch all the latest from me, you can follow me over on Instagram at The Very Merry Life, over on TikTok, The Very Merry Life. And even if you wanted to check out my monthly newsletter, you can do so by subscribing over at theverymerrylife.com. I'll see you next week. Stay tuned for more honest, raw, real chit chat. I have some amazing moms lined up coming on, and shit's going to get fun. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be good.